In this video, we are going to look at angles with vertex inside the circle, but that vertex is not the center, so it's not a central angle we're looking at. So if we look at this situation, it shows us what I'm talking about. We have two chords that are intersecting at a point that's not the center of the circle. It could be, but that would be a special case, and we already know what to do with that. So I'm focused on the situation when it's not the center of the circle. When that happens, we do have a relationship between the angles created here and the arcs out here on the circle. We just have to work a little bit to make that happen. And very basically what happens is when I have an angle, of course we know if this one here is 50, because of vertical angles, this one would also be 50. So let's be clear on that first of all. To get that 50, we use the arc that this one points to and the arc that this one points to. And what we do, since those two arcs are different, is we average them. So we do this arc plus this arc divided by 2, and we get 50. And then we would do the same thing with this other angle. We look at the arc that it points to and the arc that the angle across from it, its vertical angle, points to, and we would average those two green ones, and that's how we would get the 130. So since we're averaging things, let me take some of those arrows off. It's getting a little confusing. Since we're averaging two things to find the angle measure, we can know any two of the three. If we know the two arcs, we can average them to find the angle. Or if we know one of the arcs and the angle, we can kind of work backwards and we can find the other arc. And so with this relationship, we can find missing things, missing angles, missing arcs. Does this still work? Take my marks off. Does this still work if that point happens to be the center of the circle? The answer is yes, but it turns out to be a little silly because in this case, we've got my two arcs here that I would be averaging. My two angles, I'm sorry, are the same there. Here are the two arcs that I'm averaging. In this case, with this being the center, these are central angles. And so I already know the arc measures. I know that this is 40, and I know that this is 40. I don't really have to average 40 and 40 to get 40. And so it's a little silly when it's a central angle. In general, though, let me go back. When it's not a central angle, maybe one of them goes through the center, but that point's not at the center. Average your two arcs to get your angle. And again, it's always, if I want this angle, the arc that it's pointing at and the one opposite.